My daughter Anna is 16 years. She was an accident when I was 24. Anna's mother and I were never together as a couple because it was a one-night stand, but we have maintained a friendly and healthy co-parenting since she was born and we became good friends. My daughter's has been living on another continent for a few years with her mother and stepfather, but she wants to come back because she doesn't feel comfortable there and misses her family and friends. Anna doesn't knows their language well and it's still hard for her to learn it fully, so she feels really lonely there since it is different to speak your native language than to make friends by speaking a foreign language from zero. I spoke with my daughter's mother and we thought it was a good idea to let Anna live with me. Her room is now my home office, but I can easily put together a room for her again. We didn't confirm anything. I talked to my wife about it first and I was sure that she was going to be okay with that because we literally talked about that possibility before. The problem is that my wife doesn't want that to happen. My wife and Anna have never been close because they only meet in person for our wedding when I was able to pay a ticket for my daughter to come. That was the last time I saw my daughter in person too. Plane tickets are too expensive, but they do tend to talk a little bit when I make video calls with Anna every day, but not too much. Anna also talks to her brother and he likes her a lot even if they just see each other in video call. My wife says Anna is not going to feel comfortable in a house with strangers and I told her that we are literally her family and she said no. She and our toddler are not Anna's family because they barely knows her in person. It honestly hurts me that she thinks that way, but I understand her point of view. Altaf, our toddler, is Anna's brother and it really annoyed me that she said that because our little one really loves his sister even if they just see each other online. I had an argument with my wife about it and I ended up telling her that my daughter will always come first of all, because it's true. For me, my children will always come before any other person and she knew very well about my daughter when we married. My wife got angry and said that bringing Anna home would change how we handle ourselves and that she doesn't want to be a stepmother. She said that Anna lived with her mother in another continent, so it's not the same as having her right here every day. I told her that no one is asking her to be a stepmother because I will be the one who take care of her as always. My daughter used to stay many days and even months with me and I was the one who took care of her. I'm not going to give my wife all the work because I was a single father for a long time and I know how to take care of my daughter. I work, I clean, I cook, I take full care of our son when she works and wants to go out and do something just like she does with me. We both support each other in raising our son. I don't know why many people is so shocked about the fact that I take responsibility of my own child, but that if she doesn't respect my daughter's presence in the house and hates it that much, then she has all the freedom to go to a hotel room. I was a big idiot because those words obviously ended up really bad and we had a worse argument. My daughter has every right to live in my house if she wants, but my wife doesn't want that. I really love my wife, but my biggest focus is to give the best to my children and I would love to have my princess here after years. My wife hasn't been talking to me at all and she's very angry, but she does continue with the same stance that she doesn't want Anna here at all, and I know I will get angry and we will end up arguing again because I'm not going to leave my daughter alone neither. Edit. My wife always knew that Anna lived with me several days a week when she was still in the country because I talked with her about that and the possibility of Anna's family returning to the country if things went wrong. That would have meant that Anna would come back to live with me for many days or even months like she always did. My daughter used to come at my house every day too. My wife agreed with that years ago when we talked about that, but now admits that she thought my daughter was going to stay out of the country with her mother because their business is going really well. Throw RA because my daughter uses Reddit too. I changed some data to not make it too obvious. Edit 2. Guys, I've been reading the comments nonstop for 2 hours and I have too much to think about. Update 1. First of all, I want to clarify that I am from a third world country. Here it is really expensive to get a plane ticket, and if I travel I must do it with my wife and our son too, so it is too much money that we cannot pay. I let my daughter's mother take her to another country because, like every father, I want her to have better life opportunities. I don't think that makes me a bad father, but I guess the minds that have always lived in privilege don't understand. The last time I could afford some tickets was for my daughter to come to the wedding. Not all of us have the privilege of paying for a plane flight. I've been thinking a lot and in fact I'm the because of the way I treated my wife. Even if most of the comments agreed with me, I don't think it was right to say that to the woman I love even though I was angry. I apologized to her for what I said and the way I said it, but I told her that I don't like it when she ignores me and gives me the cold shoulder when I try to talk about our issues, and the fact that she denied the familiarity between our son and daughter was just cruel. She apologized for it and said she was angry and said things she regret. I made it clear to her that Anna is calm because no one can forbid any of my children to live with me, not only morally, but legally I am totally obligated to give my daughter and son a house. She tried to argue, but I asked her how she would feel if we divorced and my new girlfriend refuses to let our son live with me just because she didn't sign up for it. I asked her if she would appreciate a man who abandons his children for a woman more than a man who cares about his children, if she would feel confident knowing that she is married to a man who abandons his children that easily. My wife said no, that obviously she knows how much I care about our children and hates the kind of mans who abandons their kids, that she knew she wanted to have a child with me because she saw how even though my daughter was so far away I made video calls to her every day and we always help each other with things around the house. Then I asked her why she rejects the idea of my daughter being here and she admitted being jealous of Anna. It is something that I have noticed in the past. For example, for one of my daughter's birthday I sent money to her mother to buy her a dress that was quite expensive and my wife just said, I guess you will buy our son something just as expensive. It was my mistake to let those comments pass and think they were just a weird joke. She said that she doesn't want my daughter to come and took time away from our son, That bothered me, and I told her that if we had 2 children my time would also be divided, and that as a father I can give the same attention to both. Changing our routine doesn't have to be a negative thing, and she knows that Anna is not a problem teenager. We talked a lot and I explained to her that I just want to make everything work for both of us. I apologized if I made her feel bad with the way I treated her, and I told her that I want to really hear what things are bothering her so we can understand each other better. We agreed to have better dialogue and communication about his kind of things. My wife admitted that her jealousy is wrong and feels embarrassed about it, but it's how she feels and she feels awful for feeling like that. I told her that feeling isn't right, being jealous of my daughter isn't right, and I told her that it would be okay to start going to the psychologist if we want to fix this, because I'm not going to leave my daughter live in a place where she doesn't feel loved. My wife accepted after talking about it a lot these days, and she wants to work on herself about that because doesn't like feeling like that about a little girl and knows it's wrong. My wife and daughter always had a nice treatment. When I make video calls with Anna, my wife usually talks a little but not that much. I think my mistake was not offering my wife to make video calls alone with Anna like Anna does with my toddler sometimes. My daughter really likes my wife and calls her auntie even if they don't know each other too well, so I don't want her to know how my wife really feels about her. I offered my wife to teach her how to play the same video game I play with my daughter so they can play together and get to know each other more. I know Anna would love that. They both have a lot of same interests. She accepted and said she loves me and wants to try it for me and for our toddler. If I leave my wife I would be breaking my son's house. He's my baby too, and the last thing I want is letting adult matters affect him. I don't want to do that, and I love this woman. I want this to work and I'm going to do my part for it, but the first moment she treats my daughter badly, I will end things with her, and I clarified that to her and she was right with that and promised me to work on this. I still haven't confirmed anything to Anna's mother about the date on which our daughter can come, since I need to fix the room for her first and I want my wife and little girl to get to know each other better. Talking about it with my psychologist, he told me that the best key thing is always to get them closer little by little before Anna comes to live here. This last 4 days my wife and Anna have been talking longer, and I told Anna that we could teach my wife how to play with us. Anna feels really comfortable talking with my wife, and they started talking about random things which I feel out of because I don't understand about the things they talk about, but I'm pretty glad to see that they actually have things to talk about. I suppose a lot of people are going to call me an idiot for not divorcing my wife because that was what most of the comments told me, but it's not all that simple as yeah, we argued so let's get divorced and have 50-50 custody, and I personally think it's been better for us to have spoken up like mature people instead of just getting divorced. Seeing that my wife has opened up to me and is trying to work things out, I prefer to give this a second chance and hope that she can see my daughter as her friend and even as her family if she allows it to herself. Your wife is going to treat your daughter badly. No one can read the future to say that, but I can work to make that future not happen. In the meantime, I prefer to maintain a positive approach since my wife has never behaved badly with my daughter, and my daughter knows that if she feels uncomfortable, she knows she can talk about it with her mom, stepdad, or me, as we always teach her to talk to us about anything that makes her uncomfortable. Anna has a sharp tongue, so I doubt she'll stay quiet if my wife makes any comments that make her uncomfortable. I'm not going to force them to be best friends. I want them both to flow on their own. I'm also not going to use my daughter as a free babysitter, as many in the comments suggested as a supposed solution, and both she and her brother can live in this house as long as they want. Edit. In the previous post several people said that my wife also made a post here, but it's false. She doesn't use this site. Update 2. My daughter and my wife's relationship is going very well. They both make video calls to watch some series together that they both like. They have even started to have inside jokes that I don't understand, but I think that's something good, although to be honest now I feel a little left out. Just joking. My wife has been going to the psychologist, and me too. I want both of us to get better together, to work on her insecurities and problems, because she knows that feeling jealous of my daughter is not good at all, and a few weeks ago she talked to my daughter about her feelings towards her and apologized. My daughter was quite surprised to learn that my wife felt this way but accepted the apology and told her that she understands her. I left them talking alone that day so they have privacy, and after that they have had a closer bond. My wife said that my daughter told her that she will always respect someone who is sincere and wants to be a better person. In the previous post many said that I decided to bring my daughter without talking about it with my wife before, but that's literally what I did. I never confirmed anything to the mother of my daughter until I spoke with my wife. I was never the partner of my daughter's mother, BTW. Many comments mentioned her as my ex-wife, but we were never anything. The talk about bringing my daughter back was paused because I wanted them to know each other better before living all together, but my wife started to talk about how she wants to decorate the bedroom and rejected all my ideas because they're too boring for a girl, so she's having fun redecorating the room with our toddler, who's really happy to see his sister in person. We still didn't arrange a date because my daughter's mother have to talk with her high school for the problems there and everything, and I have to prepare everything here too, but all is going well step by step. Now on to second story. Sister-in-law's scare tactic backfired when my husband accidentally ended himself against her masquerade ambush, leading to an eviction. I am 25F, my husband is 30 male. My brother 32 male and his fiancée 31F recently came to visit us in our city. My partner and I are new homeowners and they were staying with us for the first time. My brother's fiancée loves Halloween. She is also a Disney adult and has a childlike side to her which comes out sometimes. She's just super involved, absorbed, when it comes to her interests. Anyway, I'm just sharing this for context because my perspective is that she often gets carried away, and I genuinely feel what I'm going to describe was the result of one of those moments where she just took it too far and suffered some negative consequences. She is, however, taking it as a very personal attack. So we disagree, and the disagreement resulted in my husband cutting their visit short, aka they were asked to leave. 31F has made comments more than few times now since meeting him, that my husband gives off a dark vibe. She is always comparing him to characters from various books she reads. It's not necessarily criticism, she always explains that they are compliments. Well, I'm not sure anymore. Her reasons for these comparisons are based on his looks, the general vibe he gives off, and his tattoo. He only has one, but it's on his hand. During this recent visit, she mentioned she would love to see someone like him get scared because she can't imagine him getting startled, or letting out a scream. Scaring him became her goal during her stay with us. None of us knew about it, not even my brother. The incident causing all the trouble is that she tried to jump scare my husband in the garage. It was dark and she ambushed him in the garage while wearing a full outfit and mask when he was returning from a run. Well, he didn't let out the scream she wanted, he instinctively reacted by shoving her against the wall. She hit her head and was quite shaken up. Luckily, he realized very quickly by the sound she made that it likely wasn't an intruder. He switched the lights on and pulled her mask off. He told me he was very confused in the moment. Why would she attack him? My husband helped her inside, apologized, made her tea, and then called me. I was out with my brother. When we got home, I asked 31F if she was okay, and I said her prank was stupid to do because she could have gotten seriously hurt. I don't know if it was what I said that bothered her or if she was just waiting for her partner to come home, but she launched into crying about how my husband used an excessive amount of force, knowing it was most likely her just doing a harmless prank. In a nutshell, my husband asked her straightforwardly, "Are you implying I intentionally assaulted you?" She hesitated but chose to say yes, and my husband responded to that with "Get out of my house." I tried to smooth it, but my husband was adamant if that's what she genuinely believes, she's not welcome to stay. 31F chose to stick to her accusation. I decided to side with my husband. My brother is angry with me. He thinks I should have tried to do damage control and let them stay by convincing my husband to lean more into apologizing and placating his fiancée, who was just recovering from the situation. He thinks this whole thing would have blown over if I'd helped my husband fold. I find this unfair. My brother was counting on me to handle all this, yet he didn't speak up during the conversation or try to talk sense into his fiancée. My husband remained calm the entire time, but he obviously felt insulted by her remarks, and I think that's valid. Why should I have taken my brother's fiancée's side over my own husband? Especially when I feel like she was wrong for doing all that, then turning around and accusing my husband of wanting to hurt her? My brother says I was short-sighted and should think of their upcoming wedding, but I think he is the one who needs to get his fiancée to apologize to my husband. I would like to clarify, when I tried to smooth the situation, I was not taking 31F's side or doubting my husband in any way. I simply tried to get everyone to consider tabling this until emotions had cooled down. And by those emotions, I mean the hysterics of my brother's fiancée. My husband was calm throughout, although there was an obvious finality about his decision. He made his statement and disengaged. As mentioned, my brother looked to me hoping I'd persuade my husband, but I didn't, so they had to leave. I mentioned in a comment that I didn't get an opportunity to ask that night if she bought an outfit specifically for this prank or if it was my brother's Halloween costume. They go to adult Halloween parties, and we're attending one this weekend 2 hours from where we live. It was part of my brother's costume, a mask, like a golden masquerade one but more coverage. It reminded me of the gold/jeweled animal masks from Squid Game or something you'd wear to a Rothschild party in the 70s, and she had on a long robe/cloak with a hood. People asked me to update. I will do that. Please look at my comments too in case I already answered a question you might have, but I think these two were the ones I saw pop up the most. Update 1. I have never made one before, so I hope I'm going about this correctly. To recap my previous post, my 25F brother's fiancée, 31F, decided to jump scare my husband, 30M, in our dark garage because she wanted to get a reaction from him, and possibly hear him scream? As ridiculous as it sounds, this is the only motive we have been able to get out of her. My husband responded to her jump scare by instinctively shoving her against the wall. Luckily for her, he heard her voice and recognized that it wasn't an intruder. He apologized to her in that moment, helped her inside, and calmed her down. He told me he was gentle and understanding, but once she was seated and started to calm down, he made it very clear to her that her actions were reckless and could have led to serious harm. It's my personal opinion that she didn't like the change in his demeanor and being told off because it meant she was no longer the victim, but the transgressor. In a shitty attempt to get herself out of the hot seat, she decided to accuse my husband of using excessive force, implying that he intentionally assaulted her, even though she was the one who initiated the whole situation. This led to an emotional reaction from my brother, and heightened the tension between him and my husband. My husband was zero tolerance about the theatrics, full in hysterics, and my brother getting riled up about it. He kicked them both out. Update 2. I tried to talk to my brother multiple times after the incident, but each attempt ended in silence because I refused to give in to his demands. He wanted my husband and me to apologize to his fiancée, starting with me downplaying the whole situation so she wouldn't feel bad about her prank. I hesitated to send him the Reddit post I'd made. Initially, I thought it might work against us to make things worse. But his total inability to reason with me or see the situation for what it was became beyond frustrating. Since I couldn't physically deliver a cold hard slap to his face for asking me to be complacent and allowing my husband to be falsely accused of assault, I figured the next best thing would be for him to read all your comments. Following the advice I got here, I tried to get ahead of the situation by informing my parents. My dad, a reasonable and practical man, immediately sided with my husband. His comments were similar to what a lot of people here had said, focusing on how dangerous and reckless the prank was and the ramifications of being falsely accused of assault. My mom, who unfortunately has always favored my brother, suggested we at least hear her out, referring to my brother's fiancée. As livid as I was about her reaction, I wasn't surprised by it. My dad did try to shut down her skepticism, but she remained on my brother's side for a few days, until I showed them footage from my brother's Tesla, which he had tried to delete. The Sentry thing, sorry if I'm using the terminology incorrectly, I'm not a Tesla owner, recorded part of the interaction in the garage, not the jump scare itself. But the aftermath, which emo was more crucial. My husband's account was confirmed, he used a measured amount of force to immobilize her and was prepared to escalate if necessary, which is beyond generous for someone to do in a situation like that, and definitely not owed. Many of you speculated that she might have a fixation or even a crush on my husband, and I'm starting to reconsider some past interactions with that in mind. I also misunderstood what dark books she expressed she enjoyed, and compared my fiancé to. I learned from comments here that they are actually a subtype of the romance genre. I didn't know she was comparing him to characters in romance novels because one of the characters I recall her comparing my husband to was from a book about dragons. I genuinely wish I still remembered the names of various characters she's mentioned over the months so I could satisfy my own curiosity, but my brain glossed over the names during conversations. We have a group chat for the wedding, which includes my brother, my parents, my brother's fiancée, and her parents. In that chat, I addressed the incident but didn't share the Tesla footage, only mentioned that it exists. Her parents didn't respond in the chat, though I know they saw the message. Later, her mom called mine. Apparently, they had no idea about the prank. It's hard to say whether they believe me or if they've taken their daughter's side after speaking with her. My brother's fiancée, and my brother, have both extended apologies to my husband, and have requested our presence at their upcoming wedding. My parents, trying to keep the peace, have encouraged us to go, saying it's the honorable thing to do. So, for the sake of family formality, we've decided to attend. However, my husband has made it clear that we'll be there out of obligation. We will be keeping a distance from them going forward. We haven't explicitly stated it, but there will be no future invitations to our home, not even for the holiday dinner we had planned before all this happened. My husband is going to minimize all future interaction with my brother's fiancée. I don't think we'll ever trust her again. I'll try to spend some one-on-one time with my brother to gauge where we stand. Our relationship feels strained, and this incident has made me realize that I lost him to her long before this happened, something I hadn't fully recognized until now. Thanks to everyone for sharing your opinions. A reporter from a news outlet reached out to me, and I remember requesting that if anyone uses my story, I would like them to pass on the following sentiment. I hope that if you share my story, you can help highlight the dangers of ambush-style pranks. These types of pranks create a threatening environment and put everyone involved at risk of serious harm or injury. They are stupid and dangerous. No one should have to feel threatened or be put in a position where their safety is compromised for the sake of a prank. If that's the setup, then it's not a prank. Actions like these will always have consequences, some of which may be irreparable, and no prank is worth the risk of someone getting hurt. I understand people get curious and invested. But please consider this my final update. If necessary, I will update again in the future, but it will be unlikely and I assure you it won't be anytime soon. I got a lot of DMs requesting updates on the previous post, so I thought I'd place this disclaimer here. And another edit to fix the formatting. I wrote this post in my notes app first, which was a dodo move apparently. Sorry I suck at this. Oop, we have a copy. Smile. My husband ND pulled the footage the night the incident happened while the rest of us were still talking. I didn't mention it in an edit because he was waiting to see if my brother would be willing to show it to us himself, and I was going to send the post I made to my brother. When my brother didn't bring it forward, I revealed it.